Big Daddy Dudley sure has a lot to be proud of. After all, his sons Bubba Ray and Devon are the most highly decorated tag team of all time. But what about the rest of the Dudley clan? Sure, some people may remember Little Spike Dudley or even Big Dick Dudley, but that's only part of the entire fam. And the rest don't get nearly enough credit. That is, until right now. So strap yourselves in as we're ready to embark on a trip down to Dudleyville, because today, Dave knows the Dudleys. First things first, let's talk about where exactly Dudleyville is. Well, there actually is a real-life Dudleyville, and it's in the state of Arizona and has a population of only about 1,000 people. That's it. However, most likely this isn't the Dudleyville in question. After all, Dudleyville in ECW has always been portrayed as a fictional location, and many of the landmark sections of Dudleyville that are talked about have no real-world equivalent in the real Arizona town. Okay, so if it's not the actual town, then where could the fictional town of Dudleyville possibly be? Well, one place could be the northern part of Middle America. The original Dudley characters were actually based off of the Hanson brothers from the Paul Newman film Slapshot. In fact, Dave Hanson, the former NHL player who played the character of Jack Hanson, is actually from Wisconsin. On the other hand, the Hanson characters themselves, on the whole, were actually based off of the real-life hockey family, the Carlson brothers, who hail from Minnesota. Although there is still yet another possibility. Some have thought that the Dudleys are actually a crazed family of mountain folk hailing from the Appalachian Mountains. However, that doesn't really narrow things down since the Appalachian Mountain Range is huge. So to be more specific, some have thought that Dudleyville could be somewhere in the New York State part of the Appalachian Mountains, since some of the family members actually are from New York. Furthermore, when Bubba Ray and Devon went to TNA as Brother Ray and Brother Devon, they were both built from New York City, New York. But NYC isn't exactly Appalachia. However, there is still one final location where Dudleyville could possibly be: the hills of Charlton, Pennsylvania. In the early days of the Dudleys in ECW, the original family was built from Charlton. It wasn't until later on that Dudleyville became their official home address. And yes, Charleston is a real place with a population slightly above 3,000. And they do have hills there. In fact, they even have a Hills Creek State Park. Also, since Charleston is in the same state as Philadelphia, this does make a lot of sense. Although, perhaps early members of the clan could be from Charleston, while later members introduced could be from Dudleyville, meaning that the two locations are actually separate. In the end, I guess it's all up to speculation. Now on to the actual family. First, the patriarch, Big Daddy Dudley. Not much is known about him, especially since he's never actually appeared on screen. What we do know is that he was somewhat inspired by the character of Willie Loman. Papa Dudley was allegedly a traveling salesman who, well, let's just say he got around a lot. Now there is a Mama Dudley out there too. The seldom talked about Big Mama Dudley is only known to have had one child, and it is also not known if she was actually married to Big Daddy or not. But what we do know is that while the two have the same last name, marriage is not the reason why. We also know that together they do have one child, the original leader of the Dudley family on ECW TV and the only true Dudley, Dudley Dudley. Dudley Dudley was said to be in charge because since he is the only one to have two Dudley parents, it would make him the only pure Dudley, as he put it. He was definitely the mouthpiece of the family, making it clear that he should be the only one to do interviews. Now, Dudley Squared was portrayed by wrestler Jeff Bradley, who hails from San Antonio, Texas, and he first appeared as a character along with the other original Dudleys on July 1st, 1995. Bradley did also wrestle elsewhere, having spent brief periods of time in both WWF and WCW, among other smaller promotions as well. Now, even though he was Dudley Prime, he wasn't with the family all that long, leaving TV around the end of the year. But this was definitely long enough to ensure that the Dudleys would definitely make an impact. Next, hailing from New York State, Michael Deke wrestled under the name Little Snot Dudley. Now, Deke wrestled in Smoky Mountain Wrestling before arriving at ECW, and he was successful in the Dudleys' debut, winning a tag match with Dudley Dudley against the Pitbulls. Now, unfortunately, a jet skiing accident would require him to leave the company in September of 1995. Also important to note, Little Snot wasn't small, he was just the smallest of the original three. And trust me when I say, the third was a big one. Hailing from the Twisted Steel section of Dudleyville, 25 3/8 inches of the largest arms in the world attached to the man who last night took such liberties with your mother that he is now recognized in 17 states as your father, the true mastodon of professional wrestling, Big Dick Dudley. Big Dick Dudley was played by Suffolk, New Jersey native Alex Rizzo, who made a name for himself before arriving in ECW, wrestling under the name Alexander the Great. It was also said that BD was the result of Big Daddy Dudley's fornication with the Holland Tunnel. Now, during their ECW tenure, Big Dick is definitely the Dudley who spent the longest time with the faction, serving as the enforcer throughout every ECW incarnation of the Dudley family. And he was quite the enforcer indeed, with some of his most agonizing maneuvers including the Big Dick Chokeslam, the Big Dick Driver, and the devastating Total Penetration. Now, these three would be the original Dudley family and would soon find themselves aligned with Raven. Now, they mostly served as comic relief and as goofy side characters at this time. And after Little Snot's departure, this humorous take on the Dudley brothers would continue, as he was replaced by the result of Big Daddy Dudley's time at a Cheyenne reservation. I'm talking about the comically named Dances with Dudley. Dances was portrayed by Adolfo Bermudez, and DW did manage to get a couple of ECW tag team title shots in as well. Once with Dudley Dudley, and then again later on with Bubba Ray Dudley. That's right, Bubba Ray's first tag team title shot was not with Devon. DW, sometimes called Chief Dudley, stayed with the family until the middle of 1996, but more on that later. The next Dudley that would debut was the slovenly Chubby Dudley. Chubby Dudley was played by Bay Ragney, a frequent in the independent circuit. Bay's Dudley debut was actually his second run with the company, having previously wrestled for ECW when it was still called Eastern Championship Wrestling under the name Easy Rider. As Chubby Dudley, he really didn't wrestle, having only one match as the character, which he lost. He mostly just stood ringside, usually bringing food with him. Another new member joining the family was said to be the result of Big Daddy Dudley's incarceration at an insane asylum. Allow me to introduce to you the most outspoken commodity in ECW, the voice of a generation, the quiet behind the riot, and the innovator of silence, Sign Guy Dudley. Lou D'Angeli began his career as a plant for ECW. He posed as a fan sitting ringside, cosplaying as a Dudley and holding up signs, with other fans not knowing this was all just a work. He would eventually be brought into the act as a way of selling the idea that the audience could truly be part of the show and that anything really could happen. Now, he never spoke, but instead continued letting his signs do all the talking for him. And he would serve as the Dudley's manager all the way until Bubba Ray and Devon's departure from ECW for the WWF. After that, he would then go on to become Lou E. Dangerously, a parody of Paul Heyman, and he stayed with ECW until the company closed. Now, the next member of the Dudley family that I'm going to talk about made his debut following the Dudleys' exit from the Raven's Nest and following the departure of Dances with Dudley and Chubby Dudley in the later half of 1996. The runt of the Dudley litter, Little Spike Dudley. Originally hailing from Providence, Rhode Island, Matthew Hyson would spend time in the education field before becoming Little Spike Dudley. He is considered by many to be the third most successful Dudley, accomplishing quite a lot throughout his career in ECW, WWE, and TNA. He captured the ECW tag titles twice with Balls Mahoney and is a former WWE Cruiserweight Champion, a one-time European Champion, and an 8-time Hardcore Champion, as well as being a one-time WWE Tag Champ with Taz. Now, if you notice, his tag title wins were not with any of his brothers. Well, that's because for the most part, Spike was a black sheep of the family. While he did partner with them initially and then eventually later on again, Spike mostly feuded with his kin as well as battling much larger opponents. Spike even earned a few victories against his bigger foes, earning him the nickname The Giant Killer. Also, Spike's initials are the same as Little Snot Dudley's, LSD, a tongue-in-cheek reference to the drug. Now, to further this in-joke, Spike's finisher would be known as the Acid Drop, which was renamed by the WWE as the Dudley Dog to avoid any connotation. And in TNA, he would be better known as Brother Runt. Also, there are a few honorary Dudleys inducted as well. The Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, were allegedly cousins from the little New Zealand neighborhood of Dudleyville. Jenna Jameson was honored by being called Lady Dudley, and most importantly, well, Studley Dudley, aka Joel, bigger than a Snickers bar and twice as satisfying, because whether they're at home or here in Dayton, the girls are watching me and masturbating. The lyrical miracle, the sexual intellectual, and a damn handsome man, the quintessential stud muffin, Gertner. Joel Gertner started off as an ECW ring announcer when Shane Douglas suggested that he go heel, mocking babyface wrestlers during their entrance. He then moved on to colored commentary alongside Joey Styles, and then he became the official ring announcer for the Dudley Boys. Not long after joining the squad, the Eliminators hit him with Total Elimination, which caused him to wear his signature neck brace, which last I checked he's probably still wearing. Okay, so now on to the big two. First, introducing from the metropolitan section of Dudleyville, he weighs in at a rough, ready and rambunctious 350 pounds, this is Bubba Ray Dudley. Mark LaMonaco was born in Queens, New York. Now, on his own, he managed to devastate opponents with moves like the Bubba Cutter and the Bubba Bomb. He also won the WWE Hardcore title 8 times, and he won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship twice. Now, Bubba Ray was originally part of the more comedic version of the Dudleys, joining in October of 1995. He was originally portrayed as the stuttering redneck named Bubba, which was originally spelled B-U-H, as a mock to his stuttering whenever he would say his name. Now, Bubba's stuttering and the Dudleys being a comedy act was about to come to an end that would happen at the hands of Bubba's first major feud. Who was that feud with? It was against the man representing the south side of Dudleyville, keeping it real in the 9'8", standing at a lean, mean, rough, cut, ripped, chiseled, and jacked. Damn, I'm good. 169 pounds, the super cruiserweight, Devon Dudley. That's right, Bubba Ray and Devon initially started off in a rivalry. Devon, originally spelled D-Von, was portrayed by the eventual two-time TNA television champion, Devon Edgar Hughes. Devon made his ECW debut on April 13, 1996 at the Massacre on Queens Boulevard show. Upon his introduction, he announced that he was furious with the silly antics of the Dudley family up until this point. He claimed that this was not the way of true Dudleys and regularly attacked his brothers as a way of getting his point across. Eventually, Bubba ended his feud with Devon by joining him. This was the culmination of a sort of Dudley purge, which saw some of the more comedic Dudleys leave the stable. So now the stage was set. The new Dudley boys were now a cohesive unit and a serious threat to everyone on the ECW roster. This team consisted of Big Dick, Sign Guy, Devon, and Bubba Ray. The Dudley's new strength also came along with a new motto, the Dudley Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not with the Dudleys. Testify! Now, Bubba Ray and Devon were the ones to do the most competing, and with their crushing arsenal of moves, it's not surprising. Not only were they known to use everything from the Doomsday Device to double powerbombs through tables, but they also had, of course, the legendary Dudley Death Drop, the 3D. Little known fact, there are actually two versions of the 3D. The one most often used is the standard 3D where Devon flapjacks and Bubba goes into the cutting position. But on occasion there is the 3D 2 where Bubba Ray lifts belly to back and Devon goes into a neck breaker instead of a cutter. Armed with one of the best tag team movesets of all time. Together, Bubba Ray and Devon would go on to win the NWA Tag Team Championship, the TNA World Tag Team Championship twice, the IWGP Tag Team Championships also twice, be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, win one WCW Tag Team Championship, although I don't really count that one because it was after WWE bought WCW. Also, one Tag Team Championship and 8 World Tag Team Championships in the WWE, and most importantly, they are the 8-time ECW World Tag Team Champions. And they are the only tag team to win across all of these promotions. Well, there you go, there's my overview on the Dudleys. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and this has been Dave Knows.